Hi everybody, I'm in the studio again today and wanted to share with you some thoughts on the question that Joel asked the other day about addiction. I didn't do a vlog yesterday. I was at the doctor's office and getting some x-rays. There's something going on with my back that I'm dealing with right now. But Joel, why is it so hard to change these habits? First things first, realize we're trying to change the habit with the mind that created the habit. So this may have, just by its own nature, kind of a collision in the mind of maybe bringing up the patterns of what is right, what is wrong, what is negative, what is positive, what is socially acceptable, what is not socially acceptable. And when we try to do things like that with the mind that created the problem, sometimes what we do is we get in a loop of being able to stop for a little while a particular habit and or addiction, and then we find our way back to it sooner or later. So what I can share is this. I know this is a very complex, this is a very deep subject, so I can only speak from my own experiences. My own experiences being that I started playing the Native American flute. Suddenly I stopped drinking. So I can look back now and I can say, well, the reason being is that practice of playing the flute made physiological changes in my mind because I had to learn new, muscle activity and muscle memory. So that created these pathways of the brain, maybe pulling it away from the old habits. I have no idea. I know this, that in playing the flute, I felt some of the same effects that I would feel if I had a couple of beers. I had the same feeling of calm, relaxation, loosening of the inhibitions, bliss or joy, or just completely no thinking, no thought was there during the activity of playing the flute. So was I then creating a new habit that replaced an old one? Did I subconsciously decide to stop drinking because I thought it was bad? I don't know. I do know that because of that new habit, that formation of the new activities of the mind through this particular activity, eventually what happened was drinking fell away of its own accord. I didn't do anything. I didn't quit. I didn't stop. I didn't do anything. I didn't think about how I was going to quit and then set goals for myself. What happened was what I would call a healing, and that came from playing this flute, and the flute having, like I said, some similar effects. So does that mean that we need to go out and find something else to replace a bad habit with a good one? I don't know. I think there are some techniques that talk about that, but I'm not an expert on it. But I do know this: if you're using the mind that created the problem to try to stop the problem, you're probably not going to have a long-term lasting effect, especially if you have a goal. I want to quit eating sugar. You would have to try to find possibly a way to get a mind reset. And there's a lot of talk right now about how different plant substances can help with that. Or, there is also different types of cognitive therapies. I mean, it's just such a vast subject. And what I say worked for me was there were some steps there, and one of them was definitely what I always talk about, that was learning how to love and respect and accept myself for who I was. This was a big part of the process. You could call it self-love. So maybe if we were to say, are there some steps to freeing oneself from addiction, that maybe yes, there could be. And there's, of course, the 12-step programs and talking to therapists. But what worked for me is that I could see that I brought in what I know now to be a very sacred instrument. This came into my life. I began playing the flute. It had some of these effects on me, that the same kind of effects that drinking a couple of beers would. Over a period of time in playing the flute, what happened was that I just was no longer interested in drinking anymore. It didn't appeal to me. So, and then along with that, though, as I was saying, there was self-love, an acceptance of myself, an acceptance of my path, an acceptance of my my past and what had happened to me, the bad things, the trauma, working on forgiveness, working on loving others. All of these things had an effect on those previous addictions that I had. They did start to fall away because of this practice of self-love, forgiveness, acceptance, loving others. And another thing was taking my own worries and concerns, letting them go, and trying to find ways to be able to help others. Because when my attention was off of my so-called problems and traumas, this is not denial, I'm not talking about that. When I put other people before myself, I started to see these other subtle changes that were happening about no longer wanting to participate in something that in the long run wasn't really good for my body and my spirit, myself. So I hope that helps, and let's continue the conversation, and please share more with me here on Facebook or robert@aquietmind.com. You can visit the website. There are about 100 podcasts there that go into a lot of this. That is aquietmind.com. So I hope this is helpful, and once again, thank you very much for watching, listening, and sharing. Bye for now.